Welcome everyone to the Flying High Club here at the Aviation Festival here in Singapore. We're delighted to bring you another amazing episode where I'm really proud and happy to have two female leaders with me who are going to talk about what is going on in the industry, specifically in this region. And actually, we're going to take another angle because we're actually here talking about alliances. So we normally are talking about startups, we're talking about airlines and airports, but here we're going to be talking about alliances in terms of airports and how those come together, both from a customer experience perspective, but also from a customer loyalty perspective as well. So a really fun and exciting conversation. Hopefully you're going to learn loads. So firstly, I want to welcome Nadine Kindler, Director of Loyalty at Star Alliance, and Ambar Franco, VP of Customer Experience at Star Alliance. Welcome, both of you.
Nice, thank you.
Well, thank you for both being here. So let's first by introducing yourselves. Amber, tell us a bit more about yourself. Tell our audience a bit more about yourself.
So I'm Ambar Franco. I'm the Vice President of Customer Experience at Star Alliance. I'm Spanish. I've been in Singapore for 8 years. And prior to Star Alliance, I spent 16 years in hospitality in luxury hotel companies.
Fantastic. Nadine?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nadine Kindler. I'm the Director Customer Experience for Loyalty at Star Alliance. I originally come from Germany. I moved when Star Alliance shifted the headquarters from Frankfurt to Singapore. I got the opportunity to move along. So I've been here now since beginning of 2022. And I spent essentially all my career at Star Alliance. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so you can really tell us about the whole journey and you're going to bring in some expertise from outside of the industry as well. Perfect. So we begin with an industry pulse. You know, one of these great things about the conference is it brings us all together in one place and we get to see what the feel is, what's going on. So, Amber, I'll start with you. You know, as you've been walking around today, what's kind of jumped out at you in terms of, technology or partners that you've seen at the Aviation Festival here today?
I think the focus on customer experience is everywhere. People that I've been talking to or stands that I've seen is always focused on what the customer wants. Obviously, as well, I've seen a lot of AI, nothing new there. But what actually has brought to my attention is mainly that customer focus that it is very prominent in this festival.
Fantastic. And then, Nadine, what conversations are happening here that people might miss outside by not coming to these conferences?
So some of the conversations happening here, I think, are maybe even conversations that happen in other industries. So you hear a lot the words personalization, AI as a technology that doesn't only impact aviation in the future, but I think everyone's daily life even. So naturally, it's one topic which is coming up in a lot of discussions, panels as well, to understand what are the real valuable use cases for AI in the aviation industry. So that's interesting to see how that will play out over the next few years.
Perfect. And I normally ask actually from an airline, an airport or a startup, but actually as an alliance, now you guys are here. What things are you looking for when you're coming to these conferences? What are you paying attention to?
I think building network and, alliances is all about collaboration, if you think about it. So some of our member airlines are here. So this is also an opportunity to continue building those relationships and learning a bit more what they are doing, like from an expert point of view as well, right? Because we don't have that visibility all the time. So just building on those relationships for us is very important here in this festival.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now talking about Star Alliance, 25 member airlines. I mean,
Soon 26.
Well, I'll let you announce that when you're ready. I didn't want to say. But from a passenger perspective, what does that mean for me as a passenger, firstly? And how do you ensure that experience is consistent across so many different brands? Amber, starting with you.
So Star Alliance is the world's leading airline alliance. And if you think about what we do in a very simple way, we connect airlines to deliver a seamless experience when a passenger travels across multiple airlines. So if I give you a very simple example, you're traveling with Singapore Airlines, Singapore to Frankfurt, and then with Lufthansa, Frankfurt to Chicago, and you go to your check-in desk in Singapore Airlines in Changi, and you already get your boarding pass for your second journey. That is very simple, right? And it's expected now from a customer perspective. But for that to happen, we have the technology in the background that is very complex to connect those two airlines. So that's what we do. We deliver through our products and services, that seamless experience for the customer.
Fantastic. And then maybe when you're looking at loyalty as well, because that plays a part. I have my frequent flyer program with Singapore, or I have it with Lufthansa. How does that all come together?
I think for what it means for the alliance is that we are almost like a frequent flyer program amplifier and multiplier effect, right? So we try to deliver value, or we do actually deliver value that goes beyond the limits of an individual airline and a frequent flyer program. So as you mentioned, we are in Singapore right now. So let's pretend you are a member of KrisFlyer. If you were to want to fly on any of our other member airlines, you can still earn miles. And they will also contribute to your status. The same way you could use your KrisFlyer miles to then redeem on other partner airlines. So it goes beyond the capabilities of individual airlines. And one key aspect for us, talking about the earlier question, how do we guarantee a seamless experience, is that one integral part for us as an alliance is that we have a shared commitment with all member airlines to uphold a certain set of standards.
Yeah.
So we have 50 plus standards, which are essentially definitions of technology, processes, services, products that everyone commits to. And one example is, for example, the Stallions World benefits. These are all standards, essentially, that even if you're a frequent flyer in one program, traveling on another airline with your status means you can be sure that you get the same set of privileges that have been agreed with
accesses and services.
Exactly.
So maybe you say everyone has to have Wi-Fi. So, if I'm flying on Singapore, I know I get it here, but when I land, as you gave the example there in Frankfurt, that availability in the lounges there or whatever. So that's okay. Interesting. Great. I mean, we're going to delve into how that happens. I mean, coming from an airline myself, I know everyone's kind of sometimes single-minded about what they need to do, that they have their own KPIs, and it'd be interesting to see how you bring about those shared standards and shared vision. Fantastic. So Amber, we're just talking there about how you bring these airlines together. Where do you see the biggest opportunity today that Star Alliance can make the journey more seamless for our travelers?
So we try to make things that are very complex easy, and that translates into an easier customer experience. So if I give you an example of a project that we're really focusing on, is enabling seat selection. So the example that I gave you, for example, you're traveling in 2 journeys. The fact that you can now, as a customer, select your seat, choose what you want to see, not just on the first part of the journey, but on the second journey as well, even if it's with another airline, that is a customer experience, right?
Yeah.
We give you the availability to choose and decide for yourself. At the same time, we're enabling another revenue stream for our member airlines. So that is a big focus for the Alliance in the next few years.
I mean, that would be a game changer, isn't it? I mean, otherwise you're having to go to multiple websites or hoping that your ticket allows you to go, how frustrating can that be? So actually another benefit of flying with the same alliance will be something like that.
Correct.
That will definitely make a difference, I'm sure. Music to a lot of people's ears, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we already enable 90% of our interline passengers with free seats, and we're just amplifying that into pay seats.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. And then in terms of career paths, both of you now, I'm going to talk to you about. You've both had different journeys, as you mentioned in your introductions. How do you think they have shaped your experience today? I mean, Nadine, you're working in loyalty, but you're demonstrating a lot of loyalty with Star Alliance. So we'll start with you.
Yeah.
So how do you think that translates into what you do today?
Yeah. Well, as you pointed out, I seem to be a very loyal person. I stayed with Star Alliance throughout. But I have assumed different roles during my years with Star Alliance. So I started off essentially my career path there. I initially was loyalty manager, then still staying always focused on customer experience. I then ventured more with focus on booking experience until I returned being loyal back to loyalty. I think for customer experience, while you then have different focus areas, I think one thing that always stays true with what I have realized is that you need to get the fundamentals right and really understand what does the customer need. we heard it, I think, even in previous panels here at the event, that everyone always talks about the new shiny toys, which is important to drive innovation. But at the same time, you need to really understand what are the basic customer expectations and really deliver on those. If you clearly articulate your customer promise, make sure you also deliver on that promise.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, key, no matter where you look at customer experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I guess you've seen that over the years evolve and develop as you've been here as well.
Because you need to ask yourself that question again and again. You cannot just identify once what are the needs and expectations of customers, because as the environment, society, technology is changing, it also means customer needs are changing. So you have this ongoing cycle again and again.
So my follow-up questions, coming from we're difficult people to work with. So how do you keep that motivation to keep asking and championing that customer experience and making sure people are following those standards?
I think it's, I don't know, it's exciting because it means that you always need to adapt. Things will not stay the same. You always have to question. You always have new projects to work on. I think that's the exciting part in the aviation industry overall. Yeah. It's something that keeps evolving, but it's also something that will always be a human need to travel long distance, right? To connect people for business, even, you want to reconnect with your family somewhere. So there's always going to be that need. So trying to make that experience the best it can be is exciting, I think. So there's no issue with motivation.
Fantastic. That's good. That's great to hear.
And maybe to add on what she just said about the standards, right? Those standards are also refreshed because, as she mentioned, it's evolving. The ecosystem evolves. So those standards are refreshed to adapt to the newest technologies, to the newest expectations. So, we work a lot with our members to identify, what needs to be then measured collectively to make sure that it makes sense with the current environment.
Makes sense. And then, moving on to yourself, Amber, you not had the same tenure, but still a number of years with Star Alliance. No mean feat there as well. But you come from a hospitality background, which again, as I read it, resonates really well from your customer experience role. And I guess for our listeners, hopefully it gives confidence to them to see that you can enter the aviation industry from different industries as well. So how do you think that hospitality background over the years has influenced what you do when it comes to customer experience?
I think hospitality is also very customer centric, if you think about it, right? And I work in luxury hospitality. So we overanalyze all the possible touch points to delight our guests, our customers, and so on. So the customer is actually the same customer that travels in airlines and that stays in the hotels. And they actually expect exactly the same. They just want their experience to be delightful and to be easy. So my experience in terms of customer centric, actually, I think it's been very easy to transition in that sense to aviation.
Okay. And what lessons could the aviation industry take? I know we do take a lot. I see that I think of things like cleanliness on board. I think of a big one where standards have come across from places like hotels and hoteliers. But what kind of lessons do you think that the aviation industry could take further when it comes to looking at hospitality?
I don't think the word is learn. I think aviation does many, many good things very well in terms of customer experience. I think things that maybe in hospitality they do a bit differently is that they overanalyze all the multiple touch points where they can influence and they can impact in the customer experience. Because if you think about it, normally in a hotel stay, they stay for like 3-4 days. So there are so many opportunities where you can have an impact on the customer, right? So we overanalyze in hospitality. I think in aviation is slightly different, but I guess the principle is the same, right? So try to have an impact in all the possible touch points for the customer.
So be more obsessed with the customer. That's probably what we're saying here, right? So, which is a really valid point if you think, because I think in aviation, sometimes the process can come first because we know we have to do certain things. So actually, you're right. Maybe we do need to analyze those touch points to see, okay, this is how we do it today, but can we do it differently? And we see that today when it comes to, I think about biometrics, for example, that can change the dynamic of the touch point itself, or on arrival experiences as well, we know as well. So fantastic. Okay. Looking back at your careers, what advice would you give to young professionals? I think particularly women, looking to build a career in aviation or travel. So, Amber, yourself, any advice that you'd give?
I think perhaps to stay curious, with adjacent industries as well. It's retail, it's hospitality, it's aviation. That is where innovation happens. So just stay curious and open-minded about what is happening around you, not just only in aviation.
Yeah. Nadine, how would you build on that? What else would you advise?
I think it's important, as it is a very changing industry, be always open to change, be resilient to change, and stay adaptable. I think that's very, very important, specifically because you asked for women. I think have confidence as well in your own abilities. That's very important. And that's what I would recommend everyone out there as well.
Such important points. I think, the curiosity is so important. Even here, as you walk around, you learn so much. There's certain things I think, I didn't know that was possible. And like you said, the confidence, like we've got two budding people running customer experience for, like you said, 25. You might be able to tell us about 26 by the end. I might try to get out of them. But, running the customer experience for across those is, it's no mean feat. And one of the ambitions of us here is to really showcase that so that people that are listening could hopefully be inspired and who knows, carry that legacy in the future as well. So fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
I hope so.
Okay, I'm going to split this question. So I'll start with you. What is going to define exceptional loyalty across airline alliances in the next decade? So what do you see happening when it comes to Star Alliance and defining exceptional loyalty?
So one focus area, I think what's going to be for us is further enhance what we already have today for redemption. So we do offer redemption capabilities, as we talked at the beginning of this session as well, where you can use your Miles One program and redeem it for flights and upgrades across the other member airlines. There are always opportunities that we seek out for having always an inward look. Inward look for us means looking at our member airlines. What are they doing in their own programs today that we can then lift up and elevate even to the alliance level? And that's definitely one key focus areas. The second point is probably because we're talking about seamless and connectivity, but for the customer, it's not just about the flight. The journey starts already at home. On also in terms of loyalty, they want to be engaged beyond the flight and the airport. And that's what you can see already today with Star Alliance, where we've looked at our co-brand credit card in Australia, for example, drives day-to-day engagement with customers. So customers have the ability to earn points using a credit card, which is the first Alliance credit card actually in the world that we launched. That's one example how you can have, as an alliance or as an airline and frequent flyer program, relevance in the day-to-day life of customers. And in terms of end-to-end connections, Star Alliance has ventured into intermodal partnerships. So where we connect flight segments with railway segments in Germany and Austria. That's where we started. So you can check through. You can even earn miles, redeem miles on connected flight and rail segments. And hopefully we'll hear more of that in the future. Yeah.
So I think you've been reading my notes, because actually I had asked before for people to ask questions, and one of them was how do I make sure I can get access to upgrades on other Alliance members? So you've obviously answered that for us already, so that's really exciting. And I think the cross ecosystem thing is fantastic. If I can book my rail and my air travel on my credit card with the Star Alliance, then
you didn't know that, right? You see?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's about educating people every day. So there we go. Fantastic. And then Amber, just to you as well, in terms of customer experience, because the challenge is I'm an airline as part of your alliance. I also want to differentiate. I don't necessarily want to be like the others. Sure. There is a standard, but what do you see happening in the next decade in terms of customer experience?
You actually are your own airline, and it's fun. We actually don't get involved when there are no interline journeys. So Star Alliance only gets involved and only delivers service and products when there are more than 2 airlines involved in the journey.
Okay.
So we don't do what the airlines can do on their own. I want to make that very clear, right?
Yeah.
We only focus on that interline journey. So our vision for the next, not maybe 10 decades, but the next few years is to make that interline journey as close as an online journey as possible. So that when a traveler is booking their journey with United 2 flights or United Lufthansa, for example, there is no hesitation because the customer has the trust and the confidence that that experience is going to be the same as he was flying in the same airline.
Yeah.
So that is our goal, and we're doing everything, all the initiatives that we have going on is to make that gap closer and closer.
Yeah. And an honest question, how do you go about collaborating with these other airlines? Because like I said, I'll have my own priorities. These are nice conversations. I understand I have to abide by standards as part of being part of the alliance. But, you know, you have your agenda, I have mine. How do you bring that all together? You know, think about loyalty, for example.
Yeah. I think for anyone who wants to work at airlines, people skills is very important. Knowing how to engage people. At the end of the day, as you said, each airline, they operate in their own markets. They have maybe different priorities and objectives, but that's the beauty where we bring everyone together, agreeing on common objectives, common initiatives. Mm-hmm. And as Amber said, we really try to stay out of their own lane, right? So if it's something that is concerning one specific airline, it's not our business. Where we all have the same interests, and that's where we then all agree, is we want to uplift the customer experience for those traveling across different airlines, or those having a frequent flyer program in one airline but traveling on another airline. Mm. And that's where we come in, facilitating discussions, bringing everyone together. But yeah, it all works only through a lot of communication, discussions, and engagement.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense, and clearly you're both doing a good job of it. So well done. Okay, now we're going to move on to a segment we call the flight path. This is about your journey a bit more, so I'd love to learn a bit more about you both. Nadine, so far, your proudest moment of your career, or moments that you can think of?
Probably two. So one in terms of purely projects and products, certainly launching the HSBC Stylus credit card in Australia. It was an industry and world's first, very exciting. It took, again, a lot of engagement with various different stakeholders and people to bring this together. But I think, we are all very proud of the end result. The only drawback of this is that because I'm not an Australian resident, I can't get the credit card myself. But maybe one day in the future. Yeah. And for me personally, for my career was when I became director of loyalty. So shifting from what previously was more product ownership and subject matter expertise into a leading role, strategic, like driving strategic discussions and managing people. Yeah, that is definitely a career defining moment for me so far.
Amber, yourself?
I think I've only been in Star for 2 years, but I think one of the proudest moments is to be able to deliver on the promises that we made to our members last year. So we achieve all our objectives, we deliver on our commitments. So I think that will be the proudest moment. Yeah.
And again, strong careers. So I'm sure there have been help along the way, as we all get help along the way. What's been the best piece of advice, Amber, you've had so far in your career? Something that sticks with you?
For me, stay focused on what is important and everything else will come into place.
Fantastic. Simple, but actually sometimes overlooked. Yeah. Nadine, yourself?
Probably being comfortable to be uncomfortable. So you need to, if you want to grow, you need to also step outside of your comfort zone. So try to be comfortable, also stepping into unknown waters. And I'm here, my first podcast, so I keep
first of many, hopefully.
I keep living by that advice.
Yeah, love it. That's fantastic. Great. Okay. And what? Why should someone choose a career in aviation? Amber, I'll look at you, coming from hospitality. What made you do it?
I think it's very dynamic. It's constantly evolving, right? It's very complex at the same time. But I think it's global. It's very, at least in our experience, collaboration, which I love working with like different airlines, different perspectives, different experiences, and trying to find that common ground to deliver something that has value for everyone. So I think that will be one of the reasons.
Okay. All right. And again, looking at some of our young budding aviation professionals who are looking to get into the industry, what's one skill that you think every young aviation professional should develop? Nadine.
I think what we talked about earlier, collaborative and people engagement skills, because in the aviation industry, it's so complex. I mean, for customers, it seems very simple. One plane just taking off and landing. So many processes are connected to that. Then you add the loyalty level on that. So you cannot succeed if you try to do it on your own.
Yeah.
So knowing how to build connections, how to engage people and collaborate is key to deliver, I think.
Yeah. No, it makes these soft skills that sometimes maybe we take for granted because we experience them all the time. It's so important, especially in today's society as well, where sometimes we're as guilty of being stuck on our devices and things like this, but that communication is so key. Amber, anything from yourself that you want to add to that?
I mean, soft skills, you can have your technical knowledge, which is very important, but that is the what. But the how is as important or even more important, right? So I think just don't forget about your soft skills because that will take you probably farther than your technical skills.
Fantastic. No, really, really nice way to end that segment. So we're going to move on to the quick fire round. This is a playful round. We ask for one-word answers. We've not done it with two people at the same time, so it's going to be quite fun. We enjoy the chaos as well. So as candid as you can be, and if you don't think of anything, it's fine. We can move to the next question. So I'll ask first, being on board, aisle or window?
Window.
Aisle.
Oh, okay. We've got a division there already. Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah, seems to be the favourite answer. This will be interesting. A favourite airport?
We debated a little bit here. I'm going to say Barcelona because when you land, you can see the whole city.
Yeah. I would say in terms of efficiency and how the process works, Changi's. I mean, we are also close here. If I could choose one where I haven't flown yet, probably Rio, because I heard arriving there's a really scenic view. So I'd like to see that. I haven't seen it yet. So let's see.
Fantastic. Yeah. Changi's always a popular one. Not only because we're here, but generally it is a phenomenal airport. Your first job in aviation?
Mine is this one.
Yeah, there we go.
Mine is probably this one as well. Well, unless you can, as an undergrad, I was working for Airline.
Okay.
But they ceased to exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Airlines as well.
Fantastic. Biggest influence on your career?
I think I get influenced by so many of my colleagues daily. So from an analyst to our CEO, I actually take influence from everyone. And namely when I see them, how they solve problems. I'm very passionate about strategic thinking and problem solving. So I learn from them everywhere. Yeah. So I will say that.
Mm-hmm. For me, generally leaders where actions align with words as well. And also mentors along the way that really without any benefit on their terms invested time to help me grow and give me guidance. So that is much appreciated.
Yeah. So important to role model the things you're saying, isn't it? Absolutely. Okay. Your earliest aviation memory?
So when I was younger, I have two older sisters. So we were counting on a notebook how many flights have we each of us taken, and we were competing against each other. So that was the big thing for us. Yeah. How many flights were we taking?
Fantastic.
For me, probably, so my grandparents used to live right next to an airport. So remembering very clearly the noise of every starting and departing, arriving and starting airplane. That's probably my first aviation memory.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, if you weren't in aviation today, what would you be doing?
Something very different in my case, or something very specific. I would probably be a marine biologist.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so not going in the industry that is taking the skies, but more going underground. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Everything I will say, I will continue in hospitality, but who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, that will be a safe bet.
Okay, all right. So, look, you get to experience these lounges as well, but and also you travel. So, are you a lounge lizard or a last-minute dasher when you're traveling?
Privately, I'm a last-minute dasher.
Yeah. I think the same.
I know when you do it so much, sometimes it's about just making sure you get through and get to the other side. Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, look, it's been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out. I know it's a busy schedule here. I'm sure you've got lots of other things to get on with as well. So it's been fantastic to hear more about Star Alliance and more about your careers. So thank you for being so open. it means a lot for us to hear, not only what you're doing today, but how you made that journey as well. And that will give a lot of confidence to those that are listening. I'm sure we've all learned a bit about Star Airlines. So, I think the credit card and also about the upgrades, the question we got from the audience. So that's been answered as well. And it's really phenomenal what Star Airlines is doing in terms of that collaboration. I think we talk about at an industry level how much we need to collaborate. I sometimes controversially don't think we do it enough. And I think this is a great example of where it is working. So long may that continue. Just in terms of the landing on the podcast, we'd ask you if there's one thing our viewers should take away from this conversation. Amber, what would that be?
Collaboration, to your point, right? I mean, in an alliance, you cannot survive if you don't collaborate. And actually, everything that we do it for our members. And our members, talking about members, so we are 25 airlines right now, but as of 1st of April, we're going to be 26 because ITA, the Italian airline, is coming and join us at the Star Alliance.
There you go. Look, you've heard it here first. We'll probably get in trouble from the comms teams, but there we go. That's a nice little announcement that's out there as well. So, but no, long may the success continue. Like you said, it seems like there is a great foundation there, and long may that continue. Nadine, one thing that you'd like to take away?
I hope the audience realize that it's really exciting to work in the industry, and I just invite everyone to come join us. I'm certainly hoping that I can spend a lot of more years here doing what I'm doing.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, we wish the same. So a great way to end, like we say, collaboration. I think some really good insights around being, in terms of skills of staying curious, the ability to communicate with others, all things that we take for granted, but so important when you want to, not only in this industry, but any industry if you want to be successful. So again, thank you, ladies. I really, really appreciate your time. That's a wrap for us at the Flying High Club here at the Aviation Festival. Another episode done. Hopefully some really good insights for you. And with that, keep flying high.